Welcome, everyone. We want to thank you for taking some time out of your day to be with us. Come on, let's get to the root of it. Ow!
In these times that we live, we take strides to move forward. We strive to be more, stay strong and be focused. Start a while, we make choices, live or die. Take over starts at the root, and the truth may be hard to swallow. Step one, self-love above anything else. Unlock peace and happiness.
Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to At the Root of It. My name is Shannon, and I am here to talk to you today about motivation. We are in the second quarter of the year, and sometimes we lose momentum, right? We'll be gung-ho to do things, and then all of a sudden we just lose sight of what our goals are halfway through. So, and I don't know if y'all are dealing with that, but I know that I'm definitely dealing with that. All right. So, hey Tiffany, how art thou, darling? So, before we start, I just want to let you know what the mission is. And our mission statement is we are creating a community of both men and women who are on the journey of self-love and healing. Okay. So we are trying to motivate ourselves to heal ourselves so that we can be a better person and better people for our children's children, right? So, good evening, Teeth. Good evening, Teeth. Did I put it up? There you go. Good evening. So, like I was saying before, but wait. Before we go another further, that's Steve Harvey, right? Before we go another further, I just want to take the time to please share this broadcast. Share it, because I know I'm not the only one that goes into like when you have momentum and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden you kind of lose steam halfway through. So this is our motivational pep talk for the second quarter, okay? Look, Tiffany, look, Tifa, and I can hear her saying it. Hey, how'd she get a song? I heard her say it. So go ahead, y'all. I'm gonna go and share it right now. Let's share it. I'm sharing it now. Let's get it. Because I believe that we all will actually benefit from this show. You know, I'm very transparent, so I don't act like I have it all together. Not by a long shot. I'm very, very transparent. And sometimes you lose motivation. So what better way to stop that from happening by tapping into what motivation does and the thought process of us thinking about motivation in the wrong way. So let's just share this. Let's get this out here first so we can get on to the juicy stuff. All right. Let's get on to the juicy stuff. I'm sharing. Tag, please. Because this is going to be really, really good. Really, really good stuff, okay? So let me tag. I'm tagging everybody that's right here. I'm tagging. Tag. You tagging, guys? Okay, I'm not going to take forever to do this. The devil is a liar. I'm telling you, he's a liar. And I've been battling him all day, all week. But it's all right. We got this. All right. So, and I also have a 10-minute video that I'm going to show tonight about motivation and what we can do. All right. Good evening, D. Good evening. Thank you for tuning in, my sister Rita. Tiffany. See, you got a song, Tip. You got a song. I just sang your name. All right. So now that we have shared deeply, share it. And and tag people in it, because this is great information. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to talk about what motivation is. All right. All right. So let's talk about motivation. Did y'all know that there's 4 forms of motivation? So we're going to get into that as well. But motivation is what explains why people or animals initiate, continue, or terminate a certain behavior. All right. I'm sorry, y'all, because I know I am not moving this desk. All right. At a particular time, motivational states. Oh, that's bad. I rebuke all of this. I swear I do. I'm so tired of this. All right, y'all. We're gonna get it together. My stand. Look, and I happened to tap on your laugh out loud, Tifa, because you was probably laughing at me while I was falling. All right. So, motivational states are commonly understood as forces acting within the agent that created a disposition to engage in a goal-oriented behavior. All right. So it's the reason or reasons one has for acting or behaving in a particular way. Now, it's 4 forms of motivation. Okay. The first one is extrinsic. The second one is identified. The second one is intrinsic. And the 4th one is introjected. Okay. So extrinsic means it's not forming a part or belonging to a thing, originated from or on the outside, especially. So it's the extra. It's like an extrovert or introvert, extrovert, right? I want to make sure I have all my notes. So unlike intrinsic motivation, external factors drive this form of motivation. So being paid for a job is an example of extrinsic motivation. You may enjoy spending your day doing something other than work, but you're motivated to go to work because you need a paycheck to pay your bills. So extrinsic motivation is you do something to get something. All right. Now, in this article that actually spurred this whole show to begin with, was that I found an article in Psychology Today, and it states, what is motivation? You may have been thinking about it wrong, okay? And this is by Nair Ayel, okay? To understand what motivation is, we have to understand our brains better. So a lot of times we just think it's us, but it is so many things that are components or added to it, okay? So the key points is why we need to understand our brains in order to understand motivation. Discomfort is what motivates us, and how to change our mindsets, all right? Because we can be gung-ho, like I said, we can be gung-ho and ready for action, ready to take care of all of these things in our lives, right? And then we get to the halfway point, midpoint, or 3/4 of the way and lose steam, lose momentum. And we want to know why, right? But not just why, but what can we do to kind of stop that from happening so that we can complete our goals? All right. Now, if y'all not like me and get distracted when other things are going on, then this show is not for you. Okay. But this show is for people who want to do things, strive to do things, have everything planned out, and it falls by the wayside, right? And it could be because we're looking at things wrong. We're also going to learn about dopamine fasting, okay? Because that's one of the things that hinders us from being motivated. It's the amounts of pleasure that we give and send to our brain, and the dopamines that are released in our brain is what kind of hinders us from being motivated. All right, so we want to make sure that we stay motivated in 2022 and that we accomplish the goals that we have fully set out to accomplish. Okay. In the Bible says that the enemy is he roams roams around like a lion, seeking whom he may kill or devour, and he's here to kill, steal, and destroy. Okay, so the only way that he can kill, steal, and destroy is he has to take the fire out of us. He has to take our vision and kind of discourage us from what we have in place to do. Okay, so that's his job. That's what he is here to kill, steal, and destroy. But how do we counteract the enemies, the wiles of the enemies, the fiery darts of the enemy, and even the negative people or the naysayers that speak things into our ear gates, and we don't even realize that it's not, it takes away our motivation to continue to go on. Now, if you know that you don't have a friend group that motivates you to do better, to be better, and to have better, then I think you need to change your friend group, right? If you have a friend group that is okay with where you're at, and they're not trying to stimulate you or motivate you to keep going in your process, then you may need to check, self-check, okay? So in this article, this is really annoying, but in this article, it said, I don't know what just happened, but I'm back. All right. So in this article, he said, it took me 5 years to write my last book, which was a lot longer than it should have taken. The problem wasn't that I didn't know what to do. I did. I just didn't do it. I wasn't motivated. My book, Indistractable, is about how to stop getting distracted. Ironically, the problem was that I kept getting distracted. That is until I learned the key to finally doing what I set out to do. When I finally understand the biology behind why we do what we do, I didn't just write the book. I became more productive at work, started exercising and eating healthier, and spent more time with the people I love, all because I finally realized I've been thinking about motivation all wrong. So what is the biology of motivation? Like most people, I only have a vague understanding of what motivation really meant. I thought of it like the wind. It came and went. And if I were lucky enough to catch it in my sails, I could steer my ship towards my goals. The problem with this thinking is that if the wind isn't blowing, you're dead in the water. If we depend on feeling motivated to do what we don't feel like doing, we'll never accomplish hard to achieve goals. So I want y'all to think about that, all right? If we depend on feelings to motivate us to do what we don't feel like doing, Are you really going to accomplish your goal? Are you really going to do all take all the steps that you need to take to accomplish your goals? No, because you're operating on feeling and feeling alone. The Bible says to be sober minded. And the reason being is because emotions will get in the way of logic and clear thinking. All right. So, um, to understand what motivation is, how to harness it correctly, we have to understand our brains a little bit better. Okay, starting with the very basics. Why do we have brains anyway? Plenty of life forms don't have brains and get along just fine. We're higher up on the food chain, right? Biologists believes the reason creatures evolve um, creatures evolved brains was to facilitate motion. It's not a coincidence that the word motivation stems from the same root as the word motion. All right. A fascinating study of freshwater snails. I know, he said, I know, stick with me. Found that the creatures could make complex decisions with only two brain cells, only two. Okay, one for sensing the presence of food and one to tell the snail whether it's hungry or not. So a snail only has two senses, right? These two neurons determine for the snail whether it's worthwhile to move in the direction of a potential food source. If the hunger pangs are painful enough, the snail moves towards the food, albeit ever so slowly. So more complex brains evolved to help animals escape what psychologists call an aversive stimulus, something that feels uncomfortable. Bears and birds leave the cold of winter respectively, hibernating in warm caves and flying south. When our brains register that discomfort, it spurs us to put on a coat. When it's too hot, discomfort triggers us to take it off again. Motivation is the desire to escape discomfort. Evolutionarily, our brains are similar to snails' brains. They're more complex, sure, but the motivational drive is the same. When we are uncomfortable, we are motivated to restore homeostasis. I asked Google to actually say that word for me, and I still got it messed up. So even wanting is its own form of discomfort, which means that what looks like a lack of motivation is often simply someone escaping discomfort in an unhealthy or unproductive way. So, when we look at why we do the things that we do, and we tap into the fact that we cannot expect our feelings to keep us motivated. We may feel our feelings and our emotions fluctuate from day to day, hour to hour, minute by minute. You know what I mean? And if we're not careful, right? If we're not careful, we would think that, oh, well, I feel like doing this now, so this is what's motivating me, the feeling. But no, if we want to set goals and we want to actually really accomplish the goals and really reach our destination and our goals and our purpose, we have to knock feeling out of the way. And I'm talking to myself in this aspect because, number one, I'm always tired, right? So I'm like, I don't feel like this. I don't feel like this. I'll put it off. I'll put it off. I'll put it off. Procrastination is the number one killer to motivation, right? When you're motivated, then all of a sudden you'll say, oh, okay, I have time. And that time begins to dwindle and go away, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, well, now why should I do it? I've already missed the deadline because I procrastinated and I didn't stay motivated. I didn't stay up on the reason and remembering the reason why we do things. If we actually took the time out when we, and I'm talking to myself, guys, all right? I'm not, listen, if we took the time to actually get with ourselves, right? And say, all right, I know that I am the key cause of why things have not been accomplished, right? Because I make excuses. I need better time management. I need better money management. So all of these outside things can steal our motivation away as well. But not just that. When we're, like I said, we're going into the second quarter of the year. When we first started this year, we were on fire, ready to go, ready to tackle 2022. But then as we're going and life begins to happen and things begin to come against us or come at us the way life does, then all of a sudden the things that we had goals, the things that we aspired to do and wanted to do are no longer in the forefront of our mind because life is happening, right? So we have to make sure that we keep our eye on the prize, that whatever we're trying to accomplish in our life is actually done, right? And these are the things. So we're going to talk about, and I'm going to show a little video. It is a 10-minute video, but this is about dopamine fasting, because a lot of times we are motivated by how we feel. We're motivated through the dopamines of what gives us pleasure, right? So we're ready to do X, Y, Z because it gives us pleasure. But if we do a dopamine fast, could it enhance our motivation and enhance our focus? I believe it will. So let's look at this video really quickly and see exactly what we can do. Take a look.
Hi, After Schoolers. I'm Brandon from the YouTube channel 1% Better, and you're watching this because you want to overcome your addictions and restore your motivation. Let's get to it. We live in a world that is designed to stimulate our emotions. Every advertisement, food product, and social media post is geared to give us a short rush of pleasure, which is followed by an emptiness and a craving for more. Big companies are able to leverage our cravings and make trillions of dollars off of keeping us addicted. If you don't have a plan for yourself, you will be at the mercy of companies who will play on your impulses to control you like a puppet. You will sacrifice your free will, searching for happiness in a maze that's designed to keep you lost. Studies show that on average, people use their smartphones for about 3 hours per day. That's 1,095 hours every single year. Thankfully, there is a way to regain control over your impulses and take your power back through a practice called dopamine fasting. What's that, you say? Well, first we need an understanding of dopamine. Dopamine is a brain chemical associated with wanting. According to Loretta Bruning, author of Habits of a Happy Brain, dopamine is triggered by new rewards. That's why the first lick of an ice cream cone is heaven. 10 licks later, your attention wanders. You start thinking about the next thing on your agenda and the next. You still love the ice cream, but you don't feel it as much because your brain doesn't see it as new information. Your brain is already looking for the next great way to meet your needs. However, with video games, porn sites, and social media, your brain always has the next thing to be excited about because they are engineered to trigger constant dopamine release. I'm sure you are familiar with the feeling of wanting to make the day productive, only to look up at the end of the day and realize you spent 4 hours mindlessly scrolling through Instagram and checking notifications. You waste time, feel bad about yourself, and things that used to excite you no longer excite you like they used to. That's where dopamine fasting comes in. Dopamine fasting is the idea that if you avoid dopamine-stimulating activities for extended periods of time, you'll be able to reset your brain and let go of addictive behaviors that negatively impact your life. It's commonly misunderstood as reducing dopamine, but that's not true. Dopamine is necessary to function as a healthy human being. Dopamine fasting exploded in interest in October 2018 and gained even more interest a year later after Dr. Cameron Sepper published an article on Medium titled The Definitive Guide to Dopamine Fasting 2.0, the Hot Silicon Valley Trend. Dopamine fasting 2.0 is better defined. It's based on cognitive behavioral therapy. It's about reducing impulsive behavior, not reducing dopamine itself. And it doesn't encourage you to act like a full-blown monk who abstains from all forms of pleasure. So what is the science behind dopamine fasting 2.0? Well, as mentioned before, it's based on cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. CBT is an evidence-based practice and prescribed by thousands of professionals worldwide for changing behavior. CBT solutions based on stimulus control can help you reduce the probability of engaging in addictive behaviors. For example, when your phone plays your SMS ringtone, you pick up your phone and tap to open the message. The ringtone is a stimulus, and opening the message is the behavior. Here are two solutions. Number one, remove the stimulus by putting your phone in another room or disable notifications. Or two, engage in an activity that is not compatible with reading your phone, like swimming. Another solution is exposure and response prevention, or ERP. For example, you see an attractive girl on Instagram. You feel your heart rate increase and your body tingle. So you run to your bedroom, hop under the sheets, and masturbate until a deep sense of regret and worthlessness sinks in. By applying ERP, you would frequently look at attractive girls on Instagram, but refrain from masturbating. I know, it's difficult, but you can use a technique called urge surfing, which is essentially being mindful for a few minutes. Bring your attention to where you feel the urge in your body and simply be with it. Describe what the sensations feel like. When you are done, thank yourself and set your intention for what you'll do next in your day. This will become easier over time, and you'll likely feel a sense of accomplishment. Now, at this point, you might be wondering, does dopamine fasting really work to manage your addictions? If by dopamine fasting you mean reducing your dopamine levels, the answer is no. But if you mean dopamine fasting 2.0 based on CBT like we just learned, then yes, an analysis of 106 studies concluded that, in general, the evidence base of CBT is very strong. But how does dopamine fasting help restore your motivation? Well, sharp or prolonged increases in dopamine levels can reduce the amount of dopamine receptors in your brain. Dopamine fasting may help increase the amount of receptors you have through a process called upregulation. The more dopamine receptors you have, the less stimuli it will take to achieve the same amount of pleasure. If you don't eat processed sugar for a month, a single blueberry could give you the same amount of pleasure as your favorite ice cream. So how do you dopamine fast? There's 2 steps. In step 1, identify the behaviors that are causing you distress, impairment, or addictiveness. 6 common impulsive behaviors are emotional eating, internet and gaming, gambling and shopping, thrill and novelty seeking, recreational drugs, and porn and masturbation. In step 2, follow a dopamine fasting schedule. For example, let's say you want to reduce the amount of time you waste on your phone. You would refrain from using your phone for 1 to 4 hours every day, 1 day per week, 1 weekend per quarter, and 1 full week per year. Start small and gradually increase the amounts of time you spend away from your phone. These are guidelines, not concrete rules. Follow a fasting schedule that works for you. So now you know how to dopamine fast, but you may find it difficult to do. Keep watching, because I'll share some tips that might make it easier for you to overcome your addictions and bad habits. So let's talk about routine and reward replacement. Imagine that you have a bad habit of going to the cafeteria to buy a Coke every day. Every time you drink the Coke, you feel bad afterwards and end up gaining weight. So you decide to do a dopamine fast. Instead of drinking a Coke every day, you try to only drink a Coke every 2 days. But you find this difficult. According to Charles Duhigg's book, The Power of Habit, here's what you can try instead. Number 1, identify the behavior. The behavior is the activity. In this example, it's getting up, walking to the cafeteria, buying a Coke, and drinking it. Next, identify the reward you're craving. A craving drives a behavior, and rewards are what satisfy the craving. So ask yourself why you turn to Coke at the cafeteria. Are you thirsty? Do you want a sugar high? A moment to step away from your work? You desire social interaction at the cafeteria? Then experiment with 4 to 5 different rewards. On one day you might drink a bottle of water. If after 15 minutes your craving has subsided, then it could be you've just been thirsty but got into the bad habit of drinking a Coke instead. Another day you might go for a walk and call a friend. If after 15 minutes the craving has subsided, then it could be that you've just been craving social interaction. After each different activity you try, write down how you feel. After a number of days or weeks, look for patterns to see which reward is the one you are truly craving. Let's say you discover that the reward is the sugar high you get from drinking the Coke. The next step then is to identify the trigger. What triggers your craving for a sugar high? Is it the time of day? Is it seeing someone else drinking a Coke? Is it seeing a YouTube video advertisement? Is it because you ate something? It can be difficult to identify the trigger, but thankfully science tells us that triggers usually fall into 5 categories. They are location, time, an emotional state, other people, or the immediately preceding action. Let's say you discover that your trigger is time-based, because it always seems to happen around 3 p.m. every day, regardless of how you feel, where you are, or any other factors. Once you've identified the behavior, reward, and trigger, you will likely feel a sense of empowerment that you can change your habits. So the final step is to make a plan. When 3 p.m. comes around, consciously choose a healthy behavior that delivers the reward you are craving. In our example, it's the sugar high. Make the conscious decision to go to a nearby juice bar to grab your favorite organic juice instead of a Coke. I work from home, so one of my favorite things to do is to stock my fridge with cans of flavored fizzy water with natural lemon flavors. I get the same reward of having a Coke, but without the bad stuff. If you liked this video, then consider checking out my channel 1% Better, where I create animated summaries of life-changing books. Thank you After School for having me, and thank you for watching.
All right. So, what did you guys think about that? I know that that helped me in a sense of putting down the phone and taking away external pleasures so that you can actually, it's kind of like a reset and relaunch, right, D? Thank you. You said you love it. That's good. I thought that it was very informative of different things that we can do, and I know that with you, D, with your face fitness and everything, that I know that that's something that you can incorporate with the month. He spoke about all the different things, and I really some of the things that I got from it and that I wrote down was identifying what distracts you to begin with. Okay, you have to know what distracts you. All right, what is it that takes you off course? What is it that you are allowing in your eye gates to take your eyes off of your goal, off of what you're trying to accomplish? Because when we take our eyes off of what we're trying to accomplish, that's when the motivation dissipates, right? Because now we're not even thinking on the thing that we should be thinking on because we're distracted. So we have to get rid of the distractions so that we can accomplish our goals. So many people, we look at people who are very goal oriented. And one of the things that I see in people who are very goal oriented and who actually accomplishes their goal, they don't allow outside distractions to take them off course. They do not allow people, places, and things to take their mind, their eyesight, or their will away from what they are trying to accomplish. And I know that this is good for me. You know what I mean? Because I have the Red Bull syndrome. Like I'll get distracted real quick. My frister Tiffany was saying, I have an attention span of a gnat, so I got to do it now. So, so we got to understand how our brains work, which was in that article that we just was reading prior, right? We have to understand that yes, D, squirrel, like Red Bull, like gone, not even paying attention. But we have to stay focused. I remember we went to a church when we first got here, and we absolutely loved that church, and we absolutely we learned about faith there. It was a faith-based church, right? And our pastor at the time would say, whatever we did, whenever we left his sight, whenever we talked to him about anything, the last and final statement that he will always say is stay focused. That was always his parting remark to anybody and anything, because it is so important to stay focused. We think, we can focus on the wrong things and miss the mark millions and billions of times. If y'all missed the mark 1,050,011 times, put your hands up. Put some hand emojis up in here. If you missed the mark some way, shape, or form because you lost focus on your goal, put your hands up. Hey, Tan, just okay, mama. I know you got the rewind button. Here we go. There you go, Tan. I know you got the rewind button. It's okay, mama. Thank you, Jen. That was good. And I love that. I love that you guys love that. All right. The second key point that I got from that video is dopamine fasting schedule. All right. So if you have a schedule, just like when you have a job, right? You know that you have to be in and clocked in by a certain time. You go on break at a certain time. You go on lunch at a certain time, and you leave at a certain time because that's your schedule. So we can put a dopamine fast into place so that we have a schedule like that, just so we can clear our minds, stay focused, like Dion typed right here, stay focused on what we have going on and not letting outside distractions hinder us from meeting our goals and aspirations, okay? Because now I'm talking to us as far as, as a people. I think we procrastinate, right? Well, I can't say that. I can't generalize like that. I can only speak about myself. So I know I'm a procrastinator, right? So I'll wait to the last minute to do things, and I'm not boasting about it at all. I'm actually trying to fix it. And I really believe that this is why God gave me this topic, because again, I'm the first partaker of whatever he gives me, which means it's going to hit me first. And when I said motivation, I said, I must be losing my steam for this to constantly come up, right? Okay, and I love y'all transparency with these hands up, y'all, because at the end of the day, we all know that at one point time or another, we have allowed people, places, and things to take us off our mark. All right? And we have to make a conscientious decision today, now, that we will not allow outside distractions to keep us from our goals. All right? We have to understand where we're at and where we're trying to go, and keep our eye on the prize. The Bible says we're supposed to press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling in Jesus Christ. We have to press, all right? We really have to press, and we have to stop the negative talk, because we are good at talking ourselves out of something that we really don't feel like doing. But again, in the beginning of the show, we also found out that motivation should not be stemmed off of feelings, because if we go off of our feelings, we'll never accomplish those hard to obtain goals. All right, we cannot go off of a feeling. We have to go off of the fact, the end game, the end result. Right? We have to know that, all right, even though I don't feel like this, my goal is. And that's why you see behind me, well, I'm going the wrong way, but you see behind me, I stay with my vision board, okay? I stay with it because it has to be in my sight at all times. And I loved making it. I loved putting everything together so that it made sense of what my vision was, right? So you had to look for certain things. You had to think about exactly what you wanted to put on there so that you can set goals for yourself. And we want these things. We want to obtain so much, but don't really want to actually do the work. And maybe that's just me. But I know that I've been changing a lot again. I'm almost 2 years old, y'all. I got 2 more months until I turn 2. You know what I mean? But prior to me gaining my adulthood, motivation, what was that? You know what I mean? I was motivated to do whatever the heck I wanted to do and bump everything else. But that's not the way that we're going to achieve the things that we want to achieve in life, right? So um, we need to understand the forms of motivation. Again, I told you that there was 4 forms of motivation, okay? And those 4 are introjected motivation, and that is an internalized motivation like intrinsic motivation, but it is a form of motivation resulting from the feeling pressured to perform in order to gain appreciation from individuals of importance such as parents and bosses and people that you hold in a high regard, right? So this is an internalized, this is that push that's like, I gotta get this done like right now because they're watching, they're gonna judge me off of it, and I want to get their validation. I want them to say, good job, right? So that is called introjected, just like um extrovert and introvert. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. Introvert, you're inside, you know, so it's the internalized motivation, right? The second one is identified motivation, and it refers to a form of motivation which occurs as understanding or feeling the need to perform or accomplish some task, but not yet acting on this need. This is a powerful form of intrinsic motivation that prepares the person to act. So, what that sounds like to me is that identified motivation is the prerequisite to actually beginning to start your goals out. Okay, that's what I think I got from it. Tell me if y'all agree. All right, that it says, let me see, feeling the need to perform or accomplish some task, but not yet acting on this need. So you know what you need to do, right? You know what you need to do. You know what has to be done and the steps that needs to be taken, but you don't quite act on it yet. But you identified what is needed. We can't stay there though, because we can identify all we want. But if there's no movement, which I think is extrinsic motivation, and that involves completing a task or exhibiting a behavior because of outside causes, such as avoiding punishment or receiving a reward. So that still sounds like intrinsic. Let me know if you think that. Some examples of intrinsic motivation are participating in a sport because it's fun and you enjoy it rather than doing it to win an award. So okay. So intrinsic motivation is you're just doing it for the love of it, which is okay. So intrinsic motivation for me is at the root of it. I do it regardless of the reward, even though my rewards, I'm looking for my reward in heaven. However, I'm not looking for anyone to pat me on the back per se. Now, I who doesn't like a job well done, pat on the back? Everybody needs that stimuli, okay? So everybody needs that push or that propel forward to say, all right, I am doing good, but ultimately, if you know what your goal is and your goal is to help heal people, then and whether you receive anything from it or not, you still get joy or pleasure from it, then that's intrinsic motivation. All right. And let's see. Now, extrinsic, I wanted to really dig a little bit deeper with the extrinsic because it says completing a task or exhibiting a behavior because of outside causes, such as avoiding punishment or receiving a reward. So that in turn reminds me of when I was growing up and how my sister and I would clean the house at 4:30 every day, right? And we would clean it every day because we knew our father got home at 5 on the dot. Okay, so we would exhibit a behavior of frenziness for cleanliness to avoid punishment and so that we can get that accolade, that pat on the back, that good job, the house looks good. Okay? So we do those things so that we don't get in trouble. For me, so I wouldn't get put on punishment because I was the punishment kid, you know? So so um we want to restore the motivation. So what do you guys think that you can do to put into play on a day-to-day basis to help you restore your motivation? And I would love to see your comments because of the simple fact that iron sharpens iron. And a lot of times we think that we have the solution or the idea, but in all actuality, it may not work, and somebody else's idea may work for us better. All right. So I just want you guys to really think about it. What can we do to change the direction in which we're going so that we won't lose steam halfway through? Okay. That we keep our eye on a goal and really understand what we're striving for, what we're fighting for. Okay, Tip. So you said really hold myself accountable. Right. So when in turn, when you let's say when you would normally say, oh, I'll do it later, you get up and you do it now, right? Okay, I said that I was going to do XYZ. I am going to do XYZ because my word is my bond, right? And ultimately I will receive a reward because I have done this XYZ or whatever, or the pat on the back, the accolade or whatever. Tip said, write down my goals and plans and like you said, make a schedule. Yes, you make with making the schedule and writing down your goals per day. A lot of times what we do is that we put out in the atmosphere our long-term goals, right? And then our short-term goals is like a 2-year goal. But how about we do a day-to-day goal? You understand what I mean? Instead of trying to spread it out amongst 2 years, what about a weekly goal? Have you set the goal? Then when you write it down and you go and you check, all right, did I do XYZ this week? I set out to accomplish XYZ. Did I do it? And that is why it is such a good thing that we're going to have some At the Root of It journals so that you can write it down, right? So D says, I try to stop looking at and or answering my phone while working on files. That is a good thing. Because you get distracted. It's so easy. How many, by a show of hands, how many have sat at their desk, if you have a desk job, or sat somewhere and you knew you were supposed to do something and your phone dings, right? Your phone dings, which indicates that you have a message of some sort, right? And you go to check the message, you see what happens, and then all of a sudden, 15 minutes later, you looked up and you didn't even realize that you zoned out and missed 15 minutes of your day. How many people have experienced that? I know that I have. So this phone is the biggest distraction. This phone also stunts growth, all right? People don't even know how to talk to people anymore. I think this is why children nowadays have anxiety. and social anxiety, and because these phones, electronics took over actual human interaction. So they don't know how to act with people because they always aren't here. And it's easy to type something than to actually verbally express yourself. So, oh, Tiffany said, don't be telling my business. I'm not telling your business. I might be telling everybody's business. You understand what I mean? Because you're not the only one that get caught up like that. Everybody gets caught up like that. All of a sudden, you on some page that you don't even know who these people are. It was an article that went to this, or how about you go and you're scrolling, and then all of a sudden you click on one TikTok and you look up and it's an hour later and you done watched 100 TikToks. But you were supposed to be frying some chicken. You know what I mean? Like, what? So we have to put the phone down. Dion said, planning is key. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. This is true. Right. So if we actually bring it in a little bit closer and not make it so vast as far as what your short-term goals are, let's break it down to the smallest form. What are my short-term goals for today? What is it that I want to accomplish today? Okay? And set out to do those things and check it off your list, right? So that you still stay motivated. You'll still see that things are actually working in your favor because you see that the work has been done, and there's no reason to kick ourselves and, oh, I should have did this. I feel so bad. Oh, why did I do? I mean, all the negative self-talk comes when we miss the mark, right? But what can we do so that we won't miss the mark? What can we do, right? So planning, y'all said, writing down goals and being accountable. What else, guys? Anybody else have any suggestions? Because those are great. Planning, identifying. I said that because that is it. It's not always the phone with me. Well, it's not always the internet with me that distracts me. It'd be phone calls that distract me. All of a sudden, I've been on the phone for 4 hours. How I'm on the phone for 4 hours? You know what I mean? Because you get sidetracked with other people's stuff. Now, remember I said in the beginning of the show that successful people are not successful because they allowed themselves to get distracted. Successful people are successful because they kept their eye on a goal. They did not allow people, places, and things to veer them off course. Okay, so that's when you say, oh, you never do anything. Oh, you're such a fuddy-duddy. Oh, you just stay in the house. You're a recluse. Oh, that's all you do. Yes, because I have a goal to attain. And in order for me to obtain this goal, I have to be here at this time doing X, Y, Z. And that's it. And the more times that you'll say it, believe it or not, people will begin to understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, and they will respect your time and your energy because they understand what you got going on. But if you don't ever let people know exactly what you're going through and what you're trying to accomplish, then how can they push you to do better, to be better, and to have better, right? And you have to have, I think, with motivation and keeping your goals, I believe that you should have a sounding board, or what is it called? An accountability partner. All right, an accountability partner in which you will not get offended if they get on your behind for not doing what you're supposed to do or what you said you were going to do. That's the main thing, right? Is allowing yourself to hear it from a person that you trust, that's going to gently remind you, or may not gently remind you, depending on how many days, how many times you put it off. You understand? But you have to have an accountability partner. My pastor was talking about that today. What about your friends? right? You have to have people that will sit there and tell you the unadulterated truth, and you'll be able to receive it without any offense or defense, especially if you know, understand, and just know that these people love you, that they don't want any hurt, harm, or danger to come to you, but they want you to succeed in every aspect of your life. Those are the people that you keep around you to keep you motivated, to keep you pushing and striving on. Take Tiffany. All right. Tiffany calls me. She was slacking a little. But she's a newlywed. But she will call me at 6 o'clock, 6:15, and say, you got 45 minutes and 23 seconds before the show starts. So she starts giving me the countdown. Tifa will call me and say, okay, so what we talking about this week? How are we going to do it? She helps me with production. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of people, and they keep me accountable. They know that I'm going to do my show every Sunday, regardless of what happens, regardless of what's going on in my life. I'm going to make sure that whether my tablet keeps falling, whether I'm discombobulated, I'm going to come on and do what I'm supposed to do. Well, maybe not discombobulated. I might come on a little later, but I will still come on. I know that this is good stuff because guess what, y'all? My nose is running. So this is good. So I want y'all to keep your eye on the prize. I want y'all to understand that if you feel like you are losing steam at this time, do not worry. Do not give up and do not give in. Revamp, reset, and relaunch. This is Builders of the Faith 2022 declaration. All right? Reset and relaunch. Get your head in the game. Get rid of all the distractions. Dopamine fast. And identify your distractions, plan, take accountability for your actions, and write down your daily goals and make sure that you accomplish them. If you write down your daily goals and by the time you're ready to lay your head down and none of your goals have been done, me personally, I would tell you to go and do it before you go to sleep. Because you're not letting anyone down but yourself. Because you set a goal for yourself. Nobody knew it. And you still didn't accomplish it. So I think that if you write down a goal or set things that you want to accomplish in the day-to-day process, you write it down, and as you complete it, you check it off, and then you can go back. You can go back maybe a month later and see how much you have everything all documented. That it's right here. Wow, look what I did when I really actually set my mind to do it. I know this show's for me. If y'all didn't get anything from it, I'm sorry, but I know that I got a lot from this show. I definitely. Now, for the people who are self-motivated, who can stay on their goal and not get distracted or deterred, power to you. Everybody give them hearts for the people who can do it. Give them hearts, okay? Because guess what? Not everybody can accomplish that feat. Not everybody can do it like that. Some people, like myself, who have to write it down, write the vision, make it plain, plan it out, keep myself accountable. Those are the steps that I have, and put down the phone. Put down the phone. Have a face-to-face conversation. Go to Starbucks and get out of the environment that may keep you stagnant. Because sometimes it may not be people. That's why it's the noun, the people, places, and things. It could be the place where you're in that doesn't motivate you because you're not around people who are moving and shaking. Do y'all hear this nose, y'all? Y'all know. So we're coming to the time, and I really would like to thank everybody. Please share again. All the new people that have come on, please share, like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. like on Facebook, follow on Instagram and TikTok, because we are going to continue our mission, which is to create a community of both men and women who are on the journey of self-love and healing. All right? So I'm going to end it here, but I love y'all to life. I will see y'all next week. Same bat station, same bat time. And hopefully this week, we have 7 days until next week. Hopefully, starting tomorrow, we will write our daily goals and accomplish it so that it will get us to our desired destination, our desired result. Stay motivated. And if you are motivated and you see progress, but it's not so fast or it's not much progress, just understand that slow progress is yet still progress. And slow and easy wins the race. Do not compare, do not compete, and know that you have your own lane, that you have the ability to pave and make big or keep small. The power is in you. Use it wisely. Take this information and apply it. I know that I am, because I'm tired of losing. I'm only going to win. So, love you guys to life. I mean it, I mean it, I mean it. Again, share, like, subscribe, follow, and see you next week. Have a great night, guys. Later.
Welcome, everyone. We want to thank you for taking some time out of your day to be with us. Come on, let's get to the root of it.
In these times that we live, we take strides to move forward. We strive to be more, stay strong and be focused. Start a while, we make choices, live or die. Take over starts at the root, and the truth may be hard to swallow. Step one, self-love above